All right, I have 5 p.m. We'll get started. Good evening and welcome to the December 2022 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Thank you all for joining us in person at the Omaha Douglas Civic Center and remotely via WebEx. I hope you and your loved ones are staying safe and healthy. With me in person today are my fellow board members, Mike Kavanaugh, Janice Mulhoff, Craig Moody, Mary Spurgeon, Eric Williams, and Rick Yoder. We also have President and CEO Javier Fernandez, our General Counsel Steve Bruckner with the Fraser Stryker Law Firm, and members of our board meeting support staff. OPPD's executive leadership team and subject matter experts also are participating in today's meeting in person and via WebEx. Additionally, we currently have 3 members of the public at the Civic Center and, sorry, just tell me the number, 9 members attending on WebEx, consisting of OPPD employees and members of the public. As a reminder to board members, executive leadership team, and OPPD staff, please mute your microphones to reduce background noise. To members of the public, thank you for attending. You are in listen-only mode. If you have any technology questions, please use the chat feature in WebEx to communicate with the event host. If you are disconnected from the WebEx conference, we ask that you rejoin in the same manner as when you originally joined. I will now ask a member of OPPD's physical security team to provide the safety briefing for our location and for Javier Fernandez to provide other safety reminders. Mr. Clark?
Good evening. Welcome everybody to the December meeting. Hopefully everyone made it in safe and sound. As we've talked about in the past, we do have emergency exits in the room on either side of the room. We will use those exits in the event that we would have to exit the building. We'd also use those exits and follow the directions of deputies in the case of any severe weather. Fire suppression and first aid equipment is also located at either of those entrances, and we also have additional first aid equipment in the back. If anybody requires anything, please feel free to let members of the support group here know, and we'll try to get that help to you as quickly as possible. For those listening in, we also recommend that at home you have fire suppression and first aid and medical equipment available to you as well. In addition, I would just recommend everyone driving safely. As we see, winter weather has hit us pretty hard today, very slick roads, so drive safely. And also, it's always a good idea to have an emergency kit in your vehicle as well. So warm blankets, clothes, food, water, and first aid equipment is always a good thing to have. In addition to that, one last thing, it is the holiday season, and although it is a happy time for everyone, this can also be a stressful time. So I'd also recommend that if anybody needs any assistance or help, to reach out to those loved ones and friends that you have for those hard times that some people find themselves in. So with that, have a great meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Josh. And especially that last reminder that, physical health is important, but no more important than mental health. And it is this time of the year where a lot of us reflect and you may be subject to mental health issues, and make sure that if you're not feeling well, reach out. Very, very important, and that's part of the culture that we have at OPPD. It's helping each other, caring about each other, and I am not going to repeat what Josh just mentioned on the physical safety side, although I will encourage, as I did on Tuesday, for those members of the public who are participating online on WebEx. It's always a good practice if you're alone at the place that you're logging onto the WebEx event. Make sure that someone on the call is able to help you. Have someone on the call has information to help you in case you need medical assistance. On the right side of the screen, you have our psychological safety message. As I focused on Tuesday on respect, oftentimes we have many times during the day at OPPD and many other places, we deal with complicated issues, and we have different perspectives, and we come at those with different perspectives, different disciplines, and I think it's very, very important for us to have a culture of respect, where we all respect each other and have a polite, courteous, civil discourse that ultimately leads to a much better outcome when we can all be heard, and we have a culture where people are willing to raise their voice and have their voices be heard, not raise their voice, but have their voices be heard. Next slide. Josh just talked about stay focused behind the wheel. Weather conditions are not ideal. outside. So as we all make our way back home, I ask you to please be careful driving. Something that I mentioned on Tuesday about doing a 360-degree walk around prior to getting in your vehicle. I know tonight is probably not the best night, not the favorite time of the year to do that, but it could save someone's life. 5 seconds to walk around, make sure that no one is around. You don't have any objects around. It's really, really important. I mentioned to one of my board of directors on Tuesday, these hit home. Something like this happened to us in the summer at home. Our 6-year-old was playing. She thought she was playing hide and seek, and went to the garage and hid underneath the car. And family member was looking for her and almost went in and, I need to get out. I need to go shopping. Thankfully, there was some instinct. Something told her that there's something wrong here. And she started calling for my daughter. And eventually she answered. She was hiding underneath the car. And so, we prayed. It was a really emotional experience for all of us, but it shows that spending 5 seconds looking around and looking underneath the vehicle could really save someone's life. So it hit home for me. I'll skip to the last one, dealing with familiar foes. The two types of most common injury types that we've seen this year at OPPD are cuts, lacerations, and also sprains, strains, and tears. Remember to anticipate, recognize, and control related hazards as they arise on your jobs. As we're getting ready to do physical work outside, be conscious about warming up, having good posture, because those sprains, tears, or tears could really damage your body. So with that, I conclude my safety briefing.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's run through our guidelines for the conduct of the meeting. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public on oppd.com. This meeting is being conducted in person with WebEx conferencing and is being recorded. Our board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are a part of the official public record. After the introduction of action items, board members will ask clarifying questions of staff, and then I will ask for public comment. After public comment, the board will conduct its discussion on the matter and then vote. Also, before we adjourn, there will be an opportunity to comment on any other matters of district business. We will take comments in the room first and then via WebEx. For in-person attendees, if you wish to make a comment, please line up behind the microphone. Please state your name, address, and the name of any organization or person you represent. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending. To assist you, we will use the timer that is in the room. Mr. Adams will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. Next, we will review the 2 options for WebEx attendees to notify us. Option 1, which is being displayed now, involves sending the meeting technology host a message using the chat feature, simply stating that you wish to speak. Mr. Adams?
Thank you, Chair Bogner. For those who have joined us using the computer or WebEx mobile app, you will find a button in your WebEx interface to open the chat panel. Once opened, you may send your message to the meeting technology host. Requests to provide comments will be relayed to Chair Bogner for recognition during the public comment section.
Option 2, which is being displayed now, involves the hand raise feature.
WebEx allows attendees to virtually raise their hand. You may use this feature to indicate to OPPD that you wish to be recognized to provide comments. The hand raise button can be found in the lower control bar of WebEx. After you have provided your comments, please press the hand raise button again to virtually lower your hand. And for those who have joined the meeting using only a telephone, WebEx has a hand raise feature that is activated by pressing *3 to raise and lower your hand. When we see your hand raise, we will acknowledge you by referencing a portion of your phone number. If you wish to provide comments when recognized, please wait a brief moment to be unmuted and begin speaking. At this time, if you would like to try using the hand raise feature, please do so as a test.
I'll allow plenty of time at each opportunity for public comment for members of the public to provide notification via WebEx. When I call on a member of the public to speak, our meeting technology host will unmute your microphone. Before commencing your comments, I suggest you first affirm that we can hear you. Please state your name and address and state the name of any organization or person you're representing. Organizations should choose one representative to speak on their behalf. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we will display a timer on the WebEx screen to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Mr. Adams will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. For all attendees, please direct your comments to me. I will either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. The board values and welcomes civil, respectful, clear, and concise communication from the public. During public comments, speakers should refrain from repetitive, profane, or irrelevant comments. Speakers shall refrain from polling the board, as such vote is not on the agenda and prohibited by law. If you have written materials, please email them to corporatesecretary@oppd.com, and they will be received on our behalf. For those at the Omaha Douglas Civic Center, please hand your materials to Mr. Adams. In summary, we will take in-room comments first, then WebEx comments, then have a last call. Mr. Adams, will you please take the roll call?
Dr. Bogner,
Here.
Kavanaugh,
Here.
Mulhoff, Moody,
Here.
Spurgeon,
Here.
Williams,
Here.
and Yoder.
Here.
Director Howard is absent. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald, OPPD Outlets newsletter, OPPD.com, and social media, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza, and by emailing such notice to each of the district's directors on December 9th, 2022. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the Open Meetings Act is available for inspection on oppd.com and in this meeting room. Board consent and action items. The consent agenda items are as follows. 6, approval of the October 2022 Comprehensive Financial and Operating Report, November 2022 meeting minutes, and the December 15, 2022 agenda. Number 7, SD 8 Employee Relations Monitoring Report, Resolution number 6539. Number 8, Declaration of Anticipated 2023 Capital Expenditures Reimbursement, Resolution number 6540. Number 9, SD 2 Rates Policy Revision, Resolution number 6541. Number 10, North Omaha Station Unit 4 Air Preheater Baskets and Seals, Resolution number 6542. Number 11, Nebraska City Station and North Omaha Station Traveling Water Screen Equipment Procurement, Resolution number 6543. There are no corrections, changes, or additions to the consent agenda items. I need a motion and a second to approve the items.
So moved. Second.
All right, we discussed these action items at the All Committees meeting on Tuesday, December 13th. So at this time, we'll move into public comment. Do any members of the public in the room have comments on these consent agenda items? If you would like to make a comment, please come to the podium. Okay, no one's moving towards the podium, so we'll move on to WebEx. Do any members of the public on WebEx have a comment? Please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand. Mr. Adams, are there any requests to make a comment?
There are not.
Okay. Last call. All right. Mr. Adams, go ahead and call the vote.
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Next up is the action item, 2023 Final Corporate Operating Plan, Resolution number 6544. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. The 2023 Corporate Operating Plan is hereby approved. As described in Exhibit A, the revisions to the following rate schedules are hereby approved. Rate Schedule 261M for large power, high voltage transmission level market energy, and Rate Schedule 350, municipal service street lighting.
Okay. Yep, sorry. I need a motion and a second.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Director Yoder.
Sure. As the chair of the Finance Committee, we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday. The Finance Committee recommended to the board the adoption of next year's budget that's in the corporate operating plan. If I certainly will welcome your comments or anybody else's comments from ELT if I don't cover it well enough here. But this has been in public domain since last November meeting. I would just say, as chair of the Finance Committee, I've enjoyed several clarifying discussions. Finance Committee has gone into great detail and enjoyed the presentations. In also good detail at Tuesday's meeting. It's a good document with terrific information for anyone who wants to dive into it. Things that I think you might want to think about. The good news is there's no general rate increase. There is a fuel and power purchase agreement adjustment that's being made, and people will all feel that, of course, but that's how we structured these things. I also wanted to note, as I noted on Tuesday, that the document itself contains the first public view of the summary of the Powering the Future 2050 strategic vision, that there's ample capital to deliver on the plans to achieve all of our strategic initiatives and the strategic directives that the board has directed. A couple of other things that I think are worth noting. The Brattle letter that's also made available there does point out some areas where they raised issues. That's what they are hired for by the board. The issues have been addressed, but they do still offer an opportunity for next year's Finance Committee to keep watch for. So I would certainly encourage adoption by the board, but CEO Hernandez, did you have anything further to say?
Thank you, Director Yoder. I am incredibly proud of the organization for many, many things, but in this case, for the 2023 corporate operating plan, it has been a very interesting year. 2022 marks a year of growth. We've been building. And all of this is building to meet the needs of our growing demand. We are blessed in the region by a growing economy. We have people coming into the region, businesses, industries, and all of them need power. And so the 2023 corporate operating plan reflects that same growth. It's the investments that we're making into the district to ensure that we can continue to provide the power that the region needs to create that economic growth and jobs and vitality that the region has. You pointed out very well that there is no general rate increase. And I want to be very transparent, as you mentioned too, that there is an adjustment to the fuel and purchase power element in the customer's bill. Natural gas prices are significantly higher than they were a year and a half ago. And so our purchase power that we have in the market. One of the reasons why we are not seeing a need for adjusting our general base rate is precisely that growth. Even though things are costing more because we're growing, we're expanding, it's that additional revenue that we're getting from that expanded load that is helping the healthy growth of the district. The team began working on this corporate operating plan in April of last year, or perhaps even March of last year. And we will start working again on the 2024 corporate operating plan here in just a couple of months. This is a year-round exercise where the entire organization gets together and we refine our needs, our requests, and we are optimizing the resources we have. So very, very happy, pleased with the work that the team has done, and happy to answer any questions that the rest of the board may have.
Thank you. And that reminds me, we do want to spend this time to ask clarifying questions, and then we'll have public comment and come back for board discussion. So are there any clarifying questions that anyone would like to ask? No? Okay. Director Yoder? No, I think most of our questions have been answered on Tuesday as well as in pre-committee meetings. So we'll now open this up to public comment, and then we can come back and have our board discussion. So At this time, if there's anyone in the room that would like to make a comment on this action item, please come to the podium. All right, I see no one moving towards the podium, so we will ask if there are any WebEx attendees that have a public comment. If so, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand. Are there any requests for public comment on WebEx?
There are not.
Okay. All right, we will move now into board discussion. I think Director Kavanaugh.
Thanks, Amanda. Excuse me. While I never like, and I don't think any of us do, like voting to increase anyone's electric bill, especially with inflation impacting everything in our lives right now, and not in a good way, obviously. Everything's costing more, and we realize that. With that in mind, I do appreciate the effort and work that went into holding the line and making this hit on the ratepayers as modest as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I agree that this, the work that your team does day in, day out to make sure that we're using our funds in the most effective, efficient way is incredible. And the COP reflects that. And I know that that is a muscle that is well attuned here at the district, and our customers benefit from that. At this time, are there any other board comments? Go ahead, Director Williams.
Yeah, thanks. And following what Director Kavanaugh pointed out, there is an increase due to the cost increase in the materials that we use in generating power for our community. But I think if you look across the country, increases at other utilities were 5, 10, 15, 20%. And so the modest increase in the FPPA, helping to keep the cost low for our community, is very much appreciated. So just simple appreciation for the work that the executive leadership team and all the staff have done this year, both on the COP and then simultaneously on all the other things that you have been doing over the last weeks and months. Appreciate all of that. I look forward to the ongoing work to both provide the affordable and reliable electricity that we have done so well, and the investments outlined in the COP that accelerate the equitable, clean energy transition that we have begun and will continue in the future. So thanks very much for everything that everyone has done.
May I, real quick, it just dawned on me that we haven't, just to clarify that we talked about this a lot on Tuesday. But for the members of the public who may be just joining today, the average fuel purchase power adjustment that we're discussing today is 2.9%. So to Director Williams' comparison, 5, 10, 15, 20%. Ours is the average 2.9%. There's a lot more information on the documents, but I wanted to clarify that.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Okay. At this time, we can go ahead and call roll.
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next up is the resolution of appreciation, resolution number 6545. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District as follows. That at a meeting duly convened on this 15th day of December 2022, his fellow board members and management of the district hereby publicly acknowledge the dedicated and distinguished service of Rick Yoder as a director of the Omaha Public Power District. That the board wishes to express appreciation for Mr. Yoder's valuable contributions to the success of the district. That a certified copy of this resolution, suitably prepared and inscribed, be presented to Rick Yoder to serve as a reminder of his faithful and loyal service.
Okay, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All right, thank you. So this item will be limited just to, actually, we're not going to seek any clarity here. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and have our board discussion and then move into public comment on this item. So I'll start with Director Kavanaugh.
I have to go first? No. Rick, we haven't always agreed on everything. I've enjoyed serving with you. I certainly appreciate your dedication and commitment to representing your district and the entire Omaha Public Power District. Best wishes and have a great retirement.
All right, Director Mulhoff.
So Rick has always been quick to remind us about making decisions based on research, data, and third-party verification, and we do appreciate that for the most part. And also, Rick has been an ally for me in making sure that we have that rural representation on this board, and that that's been a priority, and that we always consider the customers outside the Omaha metro area when we're making our decisions and how the impacts are different to our rural communities. So thank you, Rick, for your service, and enjoy your retirement. I mean, some of us keep retiring and then come back, but yes, congratulations on your retirement.
All right, Director Moody.
Thank you, Chair Bogner. Director Yoder, our relationship dates back to before we joined this board together 6 years ago. I don't know the frequency with which our paths are going to cross again in the future. I hope that they do. But as I was reflecting on today and our time together, and in particular the last 6 years working together, I started to make a list of the things that I've learned from you, and it got too long to really even get into today. But there are some things that are really going to stick with me as I continue this work. To Janice's point, your desire to really make sure that we're using good, solid information and data to make decisions is something that I've learned a lot about, and I really value, and I appreciate you continuing to bring that to the table. Your desire for measurable metrics and focusing on the what rather than the how, and thinking about what are the outcomes we're after is something that I've really valued. And you know, a couple of years ago, we went through as a board some discussion about how to look at biases and in particular red teaming. And I recall the facilitator at the time saying, we shouldn't always expect that Rick is always the red team. And that struck me as well. I think you've done such a wonderful job. I find myself thinking, I'm not sure that anyone will have dedicated as much time to their board, like on a per year. In the 6 years that you've spent, I can't even imagine how many hours that you've spent working on this board. So for that, I'm very appreciative. And I also reflected on the feelings that I would get when I would work with you. And what struck me was the frequency with which I was simultaneously impressed and frustrated. And I think that suits you pretty well, right? Like the way that you pushed was something that I really valued. And it wasn't easy at the time, but the long arc of it was really important for the direction of this organization. So thank you. I really appreciate all that I've learned and all that you've done for this district, and I wish you the best.
All right, Director Spurgeon.
Well, kind of a ditto to everything that's been said so far. First, I appreciate and I envy the apparent ease with which you do research around topics that concern the board. It's been a long time since I earned my master's degree, and those skills have gotten very rusty. Second, your interest in and curiosity about the details of topics that the board deals with, I surmise, stems from a desire to really understand, really genuine curiosity. And all teachers, and teaching has been one of your professional roles, know that if you can't explain a topic, you don't really understand that. And so I appreciate that ethic that you display. Speaking of ethics, it's my observation that you take very, very seriously the fiduciary, regulatory, and oversight functions of the board with which we are entrusted. Concerns that you have raised are often sparked, I think, by your lived professional experience, and you have voiced them out of a desire to make sure that OPPD doesn't make those mistakes and is not impacted by some of the things that you have impacted your other organizations that you've been involved with. And I felt a bit in common with you, Director Yoder, since we represent different areas of the same county, Sarpy County. I appreciate the example of your leadership on the financial committee and the finance committee. I've enjoyed working with you, and I thank you for all that you have done in your position, as has been mentioned, and especially for your work on the board for the 4 years when I was paying attention to other concerns. Best wishes to you in your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
All right, Director Williams.
Yeah, the challenge of last name with the W. Much of what I would say has already been said. So Director Yoder and I've worked together for 4 years. I appreciate that, but our relationship has extended significantly longer. I think probably around 2005 or six, from green drinks and discussions about biofuels through the Re-Energize program, where we worked on energy efficiency in homes and businesses. To eventually meeting here, representing different districts, but with the same interest for the customer owners of OPPD service territory. Your focus on measuring what matters has stuck with me since I learned from you in a very direct way when you were a professor at a class that I took about a decade ago. So in a very literal way, learning from you. And most specifically, I appreciate that when things are challenging for me, that you would allow me to call you and yell and rant on the phone until either I understood things or at least I learned how to be civil in my engagement with others on the topic. So I appreciate that from you, and I'm sure others appreciate that as well. And I, along with the others, I wish you the best in your future endeavors. And I look forward to our paths crossing again, however that may be.
All right, thank you. I actually received some comments from Director Howard, so I'm going to share that before my own. She writes, I've been honored to serve for the past 2 years with Director Yoder. Never in all my experience in public service have I met someone so passionate, knowledgeable, and deeply invested in public power in our state. I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. So we have also known each other for a while outside the board, although I don't remember actually when we met, but that's okay. And I would say that I have enjoyed tremendously serving on this board with you. And I attribute part of me sitting in this seat because of your encouragement. And I very much appreciate that. You've been a fantastic mentor as I've been getting up to speed in this board work. And certainly in some aspects, a very good model to follow. I appreciate very much the deep dive that you take and the research and contemplation of what is maybe the opposite side of the thought, or what is the what are the downsides if we go in this direction? And you're always very good at asking questions about those things. So thank you very much for your service. Yes, absolutely. Maybe, should I?
Yes. There's a saying that if you don't feel challenged, you're not growing. You made me grow. In many ways. Rick, you've been a fantastic board member in that you continue to challenge me and the organization. As Craig said, we've not always seen eye to eye, and that's okay. I talked about respect, and I believe we've had a respectful relationship. You've pushed and pushed always in from your perspective to make the organization better, to provide value to customer owners. Speaking of value, measuring value by the number of hours and emails and volume of emails, I can guarantee to the public that they got the best value from Director Yoder's service, 6 years of service on the board. In all seriousness, thank you for your service. You're an inspiration, because really all board members here, you take time out of your daily lives. You run for office. You spend time with us, with the team, learning, challenging us, and all of this is really the true meaning of a public servant. And I want to thank you for your service.
Would you like to make any comments?
I'm afraid I'll take it back.
I'm gonna,
Oh,
I'll pull the plug here in a moment.
Well, I do have some final thoughts. I struggled with how to frame things. So thank you all very much for your comments. And yes, I hear that there is both joy and frustration. I'm a Gemini, so you're going to get both of those things. Yeah, I won't have a chance at this bully pulpit, so if you can, if you'll allow me, I will talk a little bit at a time. I've said more than once that my seat on the OPPD board is my first retirement job. I haven't started looking for another one yet, but it won't take long because I'm going to be a stable boy at home, and I'll be looking for another part-time gig so I can get out of that. Imagine if you were me and you only had me to talk to in a day. So working with everybody here has been great fun, and it's been therapeutic. So I really appreciate that. I too, Director Moody, was reflecting on our bright and shiny faces showing up back in 2017. And I thought about my campaigning in 2016. I had 3 themes. I said, respect the past, focus on the future, and bet on American ingenuity. And I really think I've been true to those themes. Some might object to my claim to respect the past, since I've been such a vocal advocate for changing the status quo. But my touchstone of the past comes from the father of public power, the U.S. Senator from Nebraska, George Norris. His vision was tied to a time of continent-wide hydropower expansion and a populist pushback on corporate power. This passage from his autobiography sums it up for me. Every stream in the United States which flows from the mountains to the meadows to the sea has the possibility of producing electricity for cheap power and cheap lighting to be carried into the homes and businesses and industry of the American people. This natural resource was given by an all-wise creator to his people and not to organizations of greed. Every drop of rain that comes from the heavens to the earth should perform its proper share of preserving the blessings God intends to bestow upon his people. I like to think that today he would change the last sentence to read, every drop of rain, every gust of wind, and every ray of sunshine that comes from the heavens to the earth should perform its proper share of preserving the blessing God intends to bestow upon his people. In my view, American ingenuity makes this possible. The engineering and technology are here, the business model is known, and we can make this past vision of the father of public power a reality. I used to shy away from the phrase that this natural resource was not given to organizations of greed, because OPPD isn't an organization of greed, anything but. For years, I simply ignored that phrase, dropped it from my thinking because, as I heard said on Tuesday, OPPD is not the bad guy. It's not the bad guy, at least not intentionally, just like the tobacco farmers, the ones who got up early, go to bed late, work hard all day, serve as church and community stalwarts, weren't bad guys. But just as the tobacco companies, that is, the organizations of greed, and their business partners fought the loss of tobacco market, fossil fuel companies and their transportation and financial business partners are fighting to move away from fossil fuels. Not just 1 week ago, the U.S. House Oversight Committee released new documents showing big oil's greenwashing campaign and failure to reduce emissions. So this is my focus on the future, always has been, to move OPPD's path of dependency away from the influence of those organizations of greed. It hasn't been, and it won't be anytime soon easy to do this, but it's the right thing to do. I came to my focus on the future with respect for the past and a belief in American ingenuity. CEO Fernandez, I want to give you a gift to OPPD. It's called The Idealist. It's a book that tells an analogous tale. It will probably mean more to our OPPD employees who, like me, are Iowa State University grads. It's the story of how the ISU football stadium came to be known as Jack Trice Stadium, the only Division I college football stadium in the country named for an African American. The story of change, of how resistance to the Jack Trice name became acceptance over time, and then campus pride. It's told in the second part of the book. To me, it's a similar story of the change underway here at OPPD. Change taking place for the stadium took decades and the collective efforts of hundreds of people. I and others who worked on the change often despaired that it would never happen. And likewise, the transition to the new energy economy will take the work of many people, both inside and outside of the organization. So I see a parallel, and there's between that real life experience that I had and understanding the change that can happen over time. It is happening. The difference, and it's a big difference, is that while delaying the naming of a football stadium from the 70s when it was proposed to the 80s when I was working on it, or to the 90s when it actually happened, didn't have the same global consequences, delaying decisions to stop using fossil fuels. So that's my encouragement, to be faster and more focused on this. Now, in spite of what I've said there, I've lost my spot. I have to say that I'm incredibly proud of the many positive changes that I've seen in the 6 years I've been here. I love the fact there's a much increased understanding and activity regarding energy burden among the OPPD, that OPPD has with its customers. And I thank you, CEO Fernandez and others, for making that happen. There's improved transparency, and many mentioned it. I think there's an increased understanding of the value of focusing on outcomes and measurement. I am really looking forward at the future that you and everyone at OPPD will be providing to us. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So at this time, we'll move to public comment. So if any members in the room have a comment on this action item, please come to the podium. Okay, no one's moving towards the podium, so we'll move to WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please send a chat to the meeting host or use the hand raise feature in WebEx. Telephone users can press *3 to raise their hand. Are there any public comments?
Yes, there's one. John Pollock.
Okay, Mr. Pollock?
Yes, John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street, Omaha, 68131. I just would like to say that I really appreciate Director Yoder's service and his comments are always interesting. I really think that his perspective on all issues that I've heard him speak on goes very deep, and just I appreciate his perspective and the way he encourages people to consider the many sides of an issue. Thanks again.
Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any other requests to chat?
No other comments.
All right, we'll conclude public comment period and move on to the roll call.
Wagner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Spurgeon,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Yoder.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
So we need to memorialize these a little bit more. So Director Yoder, we have framed, I was waiting for the vote, so now that it's passed. Now this is official. So we have a resolution of appreciation. So many board members tonight talked about the qualities of your interactions and your desire for data, measurable data, third-party verification, and I couldn't think of a better way of doing that than to give you it's a lamp with the actual device we use to measure everything we do at OPPD. It's not advanced meter infrastructure, but it is still a meter.
But it's an oldie. It's a Westinghouse meter, so it's a classic. All right. Fantastic. Next up on our agenda, we have the Technology Platform Strategic Initiative Update. So will we start with Kate Brown, Vice President Brown?
If I may just make a quick introduction, we've done these type of reports in the past where we talk about our strategic initiatives a little bit more at length. And what I've asked Kate to do tonight is do a little bit more of a higher level report out of how this strategic initiative is wrapping up. There is a lot of information, a lot of work behind the slides you're going to see, and that work means a lot for OPPD employees. What I've asked Kate to do is what does this mean for our customer owners? Start painting us a picture of all of these investments. What are these investments going to mean eventually for customer owners? So that's what Kate is about to share with us.
Thank you, CEO Fernandez. Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to the Technology Platform Strategic Initiative. I'm Kate Brown. I'm the Chief Information Officer at OPPD. So I'm going to give you some context around this, and we'll get to, there's a few slides here, and then there's a video which will really paint the picture that CEO Fernandez was talking about. So with that, I'm going to talk about the vision, the work, and the plan forward. So approximately 24 months ago, we launched our Technology Platform Strategic Initiative. It was in parallel with other strategic initiatives. That's an important piece in this because those other strategic initiatives, along with the technology, create this vision and align to the Powering the Future 2050 work that we've done. Technology crosses all bounds, so it is important around the parallelism of this. The technology initiative was designed to take a holistic view of our technology and create a roadmap and chart a course for how we'll transform and become the utility of the future in alignment with business goals in the near term, and also then to align to the Powering the Future work that we've done. With the support of the ELT members and the business units across the district, we spent time understanding the technology that was needed to support the direction we are headed. This was achieved by workshops, interviews, a whole host of other activities to gather and formulate this information, all looking to transform our technology. Additionally, we understood the work that needed to be prioritized. We can't do all things all at once. That's not feasible. So we prioritized based on those items that will bring the highest impact to what we are trying to achieve from a technology perspective and laying out a roadmap for that. We recently did close out the strategic initiative, and we are on a path now to move from strategy to execution. We can move to the next slide. We identified and met the following objectives for the SI, the strategic initiative. We knew we needed strong foundational components for the technology that we were building. We identified those, and those are now built into the plan. We needed quality, security, and sustainment as part of it. That needs to be in our fabric. We can't employ technology that does not have those components, or in a few years, we'll be back starting over. So that has been built in the fabric of what we're doing, and that's pretty key. That required us to have a future-ready posture. Looking at our near-term efforts and facilitating into the long-term efforts, we needed to employ that, and that's been critical to how we've built this. Partnerships. We built partnerships across the utility. We built partnerships with other utilities, listening to what they have done. They've gone before us and learning from that. And then building partnerships with vendors, true partnerships, where they're bringing to the table their experience and helping us to build the confidence of what we'll be doing, because this is a large effort and it requires all the hearts and minds coming together to do this. So with that, this is critical because the work that we're doing and the work that we'll be doing into the future, those relationships will be key to our success, along with the dedication and passion that our employees have for this. It is clear we are on a path to take this on and to make this a reality for all. So this roadmap execution here, this is just an example to give a view into some of the things that happened in 2022. As I mentioned, we're taking things from the strategy and making them actionable. And these are just some of those components. I'm only going to hit on a few of these because we're going to move to the video that is going to bring to life what you see here in a way that is fun and very real in terms of the work that will be done to bring forth those changes to our customer owners and our employees. So in order to do this, back in 2021, we determined that the way we were structured from a technology perspective was not going to align to what we needed to do to transform. So we stood up a digital transformation organization to take on this work. And we have been hiring throughout this year to build that, taking on the work and bring in new skill sets. Great partnership with the human capital team to build out this team. Digital Transformation Management Office, we knew we needed to manage this potentially slightly differently, potentially uniquely, to deliver on what we are planning to do over the next 5, 7, 10 years. So we stood up a management office that is functioning and taking that work on. The other components that you see here, geographic information system, voice of the district, outage management, and then advanced metering infrastructure. These are all components that we need to do to service our district in terms of what they need for information out into the environment and to help our employees service our customer owners. What you're going to see next will take those components that I won't dive any deeper into right now, because this video will take the geographic information system, which tells you locations and of assets and information about them, the voice of the district that we're using to gather information from our customers, and the outage management system are all key to advanced metering infrastructure.
And just one clarification, okay, this is fantastic. A lot of these items that you see on the screen, some of them have been completed, some of them mark the beginning of it. So when you see advanced metering infrastructure, we have begun the process with RFPs, with a lot of work. So it doesn't mean that it's completed, but it's work that it's going on, ongoing. Same with the outage management system, et cetera.
Thank you. Yes, these are all beginnings of this work that will take us into the future. And there's many other components of work being done. This is a high-level perspective. To CEO Fernandez's comment, there is much behind all of this. This is a representation of some of those components. So with that, I would like to turn to the video and show you how this all fits together.
Losing power will never be fun, but we're going to make it a whole lot better. Nowadays, it goes something like this. It's a lovely evening. The lights are on, the TV's working. Grandma is happy. Then a storm rolls in, and it's a rather nasty storm, the kind that tends to knock out power lines. Suddenly, the lights are off. The TV isn't working, and we're not going to even mention Grandma's mood, because now she's going to have to report the outage and then wait in the dark until it's fixed. That means a phone operator needs to file the report. The order makes its way through the system. Then the repair crew has to get in their truck and drive all over the neighborhood looking for the exact location of the problem. Then, once they find it, they have to assess the problem, figure out what they need to solve it, and maybe even call for backup. That means even more time, and Grandma's not getting any younger. Ah, finally. Now, let's take a look at how things will be as soon as our new technology transformation has been implemented. Same kind of evening, same happy Grandma. The same kind of storm rolls in and does the same kind of damage. But now, instead of Grandma having to find her phone in the dark, the meter automatically sends a GPS-located signal through the advanced metering infrastructure / meter data management system. Its exact GPS location to the repair crew is sent through the field service management system. The outage management system then dispatches a repair crew, using the geographic information system to give the predicted location of the issue, and enterprise asset management to provide the team with real-time information. Now, and this is the really cool part, Grandma gets a text from OPPD letting her know that the problem has been identified and an approximate time of repair. Because the GIS OMS EAM system provided the crew with GPS capabilities, the repair crew didn't have to drive around in the rain. They could head to the predicted location of the problem, confirm the issue, and call for any additional supplies to be sent directly to the worksite. So it's faster and easier to go from this to this. This is our plan for the next 5 years, But this is just the beginning of our technology transformation. We might not know all the details today, but we know what we're working towards and what the business needs to get there.
So I hope that gave you a very good view of where we're going in the next 5, 10, 15 years here. I want to say, in all the time that I've been doing this, and I'm now 30 years into the technology space, no one has ever captured the transformational work in the way that this video was done. And I really want to call out Lisa Olson and her team for all the amazing support that they have given us. It has been incredible. And it culminated to me with this video. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so fantastic because technology is often dry. It's hard to grasp what you will get from it. And this brought it all together in I think, a very beautiful way. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, I think we usually take board questions if there are any. I'll just offer it up if anyone has any questions for Kate. No, thank you. I also agree that video is fantastic, and I think really will make it tangible for our customers of what they can look forward to in the future. All right, at this time, we'll move on to the president's report. Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair Bogner. I'll go quick on these. All of our baseload generation for the month of November was on all month. We didn't have any outages. The capacity factor was a little lower than in the summer months, and part of this is because we had very favorable wind conditions and wind generation. We were able to pair that up with our baseload generation. But I do want to report I'm very satisfied that all the units ran and they were available for the entire month of November. On the balancing generation side, we took the month of November. This is what we call the shoulder months. It's when we take the opportunity to take some of these units down for planned outages to get them ready, tuned up, ready for the winter months, and eventually also for the summer months next year. Cass County Unit 1 had a planned outage for the entire month. Cass County Unit 2 was available and it ran very, very little. You can see the capacity factor of 3.1%. Jones Street didn't run. We did have planned outages on both Jones Street units, and they were all completed in the month of November. Our North Omaha units 1, 2, and 3, we have work going on some of these units, especially Unit 1. This is a reminder, those units don't run typically in the winter months, and that is because those units rely on natural gas, and natural gas is used for heating purposes on neighborhoods. So just a reminder that this is something similar we may be expecting when North Omaha units 4 and 5 are transitioned to natural gas. We'll probably expect something similar on the winter months. No capacity factor. Sarpy County had a capacity factor of 1.5%, ran very little. We did have a few forced outages on a few of these units, and we are working on them to get them back online. Next slide. As I mentioned earlier, November renewables were strong. This is as planned. We know October, November are windy months, and it's no surprise that renewable energy contributed 45.8% of OPPD's retail energy sales in the month of November. Very high. Wind capacity factor, of course, was 58.6% in the month of November. Now, this is not the case for the rest of the year, but it's important to highlight exactly how we balance the different resources in our portfolio to play off of each other and provide the power we have. Capacity factor for community solar, 14.3%. We're expecting that capacity factor to continue to decline as daylight gets shorter and the winter months go through. This is a really exciting project, something that we will have plenty of opportunity and a lot more technical and detailed explanation. But I wanted to bring this up to the board because we've talked about the growth in our region. And this is a project that we've been studying for many years. And the Southwest Power Pool eventually just recently issued a notice to construct, and we accepted that for a 29-mile high voltage transmission line, 345 kV from approximately our Cass County station all the way out to Gretna, serving the growing areas of of our district and really connecting all the resources that we have in the south part of our territory to the growing part of our load. This is why is this important is because since this is a Southwest Power Pool project, it is important because we get to construct it. We get to pay for our share of the cost based on our participation of the Southwest Power Pool, but it's other members of the Southwest Power Pool who get to contribute and pay for these projects because they too will be benefited from the additional reliability. We just got the notice. We just accepted it. There's a lot of work ahead of us. We will be working in 2023 with engineering, and we will have public meetings to select the sites, and we will basically follow the same process that we always do. The eventual estimated completion will be in 2026. So, well, a long time from now, but I wanted to share these exciting news. We've certainly been looking forward to these. It will significantly help with reliability. Next slide, please. Oh, yes. So that line that you see there on the map, and it's with an asterisk, is just for illustrative purposes only. It's not the route. We wanted to show how long it is and the areas of the district that is connecting. Thank you for that. Next, also very exciting, the OPPD Smart Energy Provider designation was renewed by the American Public Power Association. We first received this designation in December of 2020, and we received the renewal for 2022 to 2024. You may be wondering, what is this designation? It's given to top utilities with best practices in place that show a commitment to proficiency in energy efficiency, distributed generation, renewable energy, and environmental initiatives. OPPD is among 101 other public power utilities across the nation that lead the industry in these areas while providing affordable electrical services. There is a scoring system, and utilities who score a total of 70 points or higher out of a scale of 100 receive this designation, and OPPD received a total score of 88 this year. So very proud of what the team has done, and of course it motivates us to continue to do better and continue to. The designation itself is not the goal, but it's what the designation does to our teams to continue to motivate to do better. Next slide. Honoring our community, there are two messages here. One, just yesterday at around this time, yesterday we had a state of the utility update. We had a WebEx event, and I want to thank all the stakeholders, all the customer owners who attended this virtual event on December 14th. For anyone who missed the presentation and would like to watch it again, it will be available on oppdcommunityconnect.com, as well as other presentations on Power with Purpose, Paths to Decarbonization, and Power in the Future to 2050. Lots of material, videos, and documents for our customer owners to have as a resource. On the right hand of the slide, you have Toys for Tots. The 2022 holiday season marks the 75th anniversary of the Toys for Tots program, which provides toys to area children in need. For OPPD, this is something that we take really, really seriously, and it has been our OPPD Veterans Network who has championed this project every year. They held an online campaign collecting monetary donations, and in addition, employees from across the district donated toys. And again, thank you to those OPPD employees from the Veterans Network for doing this. Next slide, honoring our community. I know it's a little crazy to think about going out and walking and running in this weather, but we need to get ready to participate for the annual Run and Walk for Warmth event. It will be held on March 4, 2023 at the Exarban Village. We have the honor here that our own director, Sarah Howard, and her mom, Gwen Howard, director of MUD, board of directors, will be co-chairs for this year's event. Registration is open. You can register at hitthestreetsomaha.com all the way between now and the time of the event. And a reminder that the funds raised through this event go towards energy assistance program to help families in need with their utility bill. The last slide we have here, it's always important to remember the women and men at OPPD that do the amazing work that they do. Today, as we're sitting here in this room, there are many, many people who are back in the generation plants, who are repairing service, who are doing a lot of work that we don't see. And it's important for us to remind those who unfortunately lost their lives in the line of duty. Herschel Lunsford died on April 17 of 1947 as a result of electrocution he sustained while straightening a pole near 108th and Blondo in Omaha. He was 40 years old with 19 years at OPPD at the time of his death. He was survived by his wife, Geraldine, and two sons, Gene and Dennis. And that, Chair Bogner, concludes my President's report.
All right, thank you. Before we move to a public comment period, I received a message from one of our customers, and she asked me to share it with the OPPD family during these holidays. So Miss Mary Lou Mueller writes, I was just reading the December outlets, and I am once again impressed by and grateful for OPPD. You are one of the best utilities that I've encountered during my 80 years in various parts of the country, and I've watched you live out your mission statement the past 20 plus years here in Omaha, and I'm proud to be a customer. OPPD is run efficiently and professionally, communicates well and clearly, and cares about people and the environment. I don't mind paying a little extra next year. In fact, it amazes me that you find ways to keep our bills so low without sacrificing quality and service. Please express my gratitude to your OPPD employees and wish them happy holidays. So thank you very much, Ms. Mueller. We appreciate the nice words. And on to that, we will now open it up to general open comment period. So if any people in the room have public comment, please move towards the podium.
David Bigley, 4611 South 96th Street, customer owner. Last time I talked to the board, I gave you the admonition to do the right thing, and I put that out on 3 action items in the Omaha World Herald. I know the World Herald has lower circulation, so I've put this here for you. The editor, for some reason, took my footnotes and moved them into the body of the text, so it's quite odd. But, and then she had to cut out some sentences. But I'll put in where she cut out where, and what I wrote was, but we don't have to rely on common sense. The Minnesota-based Center for the American Experiment has developed a sophisticated model to study the true cost of net zero carbon. It turns out the cost of net zero carbon is quite high. And the conclusion is for Minnesota and Wisconsin, there will be tripling of electric rates, loss of jobs and state GDP, and worst of all, blackouts in the winter. That 80-year-old woman that you just read from Ms. Bogner, she wouldn't like a blackout in the winter. And I would ask the chairwoman to direct Mr. Adams to include my materials in the minutes because I'm making a record. So 3 or 4 years from now, you can look back and say, oh, Begley was right about a bunch of things. Here's from that same study, blackouts in the winter, January, 55 hours in Minnesota, bad thing. Here's some more information, which I think you'll find interesting. There's an organization called Level 10 North America, and they report that PPA prices increased 9.6% in just the last quarter, and year over year was up 34%. Now you may say, well, why is that? Well, it turns out solar and wind is very expensive, and it's also unreliable. Here's a chart. You can see how much these rates have gone up. So you go through, well, the bottom line is your 28 billion is going to be more like 50 billion if you ever go through with your net zero carbon. And then here, something I just found the other day, turns out wind turbines, this is a big
30
study,
seconds.
big study out of England, 3,000 wind turbines. Turns out the useful life of these wind turbines is much shorter. You're going to have to replace them. So heads up, things aren't going so well. The cost of net zero carbon is quite high. Thank you very much and Merry Christmas.
Us for public comment here in the room. All right, we'll move on to WebEx attendees? Are there any chat requests to make a comment?
David Corbin,
Okay.
request.
Mr. Corbin? Dr. Corbin?
Hear me?
We can.
Okay. David Corbin, 1002 North 49th Street, Omaha, Energy Committee Chair of the Nebraska Sierra Club. This has been OPPD week for me. Spent several hours with the all committee meetings on Tuesday. Then yesterday with the utility update, and now today with the board meeting. And my comments today are related to the first two meetings that I listened in on. Yesterday, it was pointed out that the Greener Together had 19 applicants, yet when I was, as one of the participants in that program, was asked to vote, we didn't know that there were 19. It was just, I had no idea that there was a screening committee that put forward who we would be able to vote for. I thought that was the whole idea, is that the people would get to vote. So sometime I'd like to understand how that process worked. I should also point out that had it not been for somebody saying, "Have you voted yet?" I wouldn't have found the voting link in my spam folder. And so once I took it out of spam, then the next vote I did get to vote on, but it might be worth looking into whether or not you can also communicate via text with people. I don't know how many other people experienced the spam situation that I did. And then regarding the ad hoc committee, that's been much talk. I heard, as of yesterday, I heard there were 50 people interested in being in that. That ad hoc committee is not, it is in response to Resolution 6518, which said there would be education leaders, public health leaders, and people from North Omaha community. And so I would hope that you would reach out, because these people have been reaching out to that committee, and not in opposition, but to try to work together. So I would hope that would happen. And I didn't get on to talk about Director Yoder because I had already planned to talk about him in this part. First of all, I do want to thank him for his service. And I want to point out what he said in the committee meeting about, as we all know, the three
30 seconds.
stools, the three-pronged stool. What Director Yoder pointed out, and I just want to remind about the environmentally sensitive. So the North Omaha outreach is not simply although it's important, the pollution that comes from the coal plant, but other ways that we can interact to help with
5 seconds.
making energy efficiency and other ways to make it environmentally sensitive. So again, thanks to Director Yoder.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any other requests for public comment?
Yes, John Pollock.
All right. Mr. Pollock?
John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street, Omaha. We have a upcoming very important weather situation, so I'm going to spend my time on that in the interest of the utility and everybody who might be thinking of traveling this holiday. We are setting up for a major Arctic outbreak. The precursor is a ridge of high pressure aloft that is located in the Pacific. And that's a well-known pattern. It allows an Arctic air mass to build in the Yukon and Northwest Territories and eventually make its way down into the continental U.S. That's going to be happening and creating weather headlines probably just about coast to coast this coming week. A very unusual feature of this particular pattern is that the north end of that ridge will detach, move north through the Bering Straits, and occupy part of the Arctic Ocean north of Siberia. I've never seen anything quite that happen before in December. It's a 5 sigma event. The effect is going to be to push the whole circulation that's normally in the Arctic somewhat south. So that makes the situation more dicey for our area. We're looking at severe midwinter cold, probably the worst around Thursday and Friday. Precipitation in this pattern is very dicey. The models have a lot of trouble with it. There's very little precipitation in our forecast right now, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. I've seen some really nasty blizzards in this pattern, and everybody who's planning to be around or travel will need to be quite alert for that all the way through Christmas, maybe a few days afterwards. It's not looking good. Another aspect that will affect the utility, there's going to be some kind of trade-off, but thank you, between having strong winds with sub-zero temperatures, which we're expecting late next week. We're going to be harvesting wind energy, but the wind is also going to be pulling a lot of extra heat out of the buildings. I don't know how that works. Thank you. Have a safe holiday, and please remain tuned to the forecast.
Thank you very much. We always appreciate the weather report, Mr. Pollack. Are there any other requests for public comment?
There are not.
Okay. All right. At this time, we will adjourn. Thank you very much for participating in today's meeting.